And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete live stream. I'm Rickey Hampton with my friend and frat brother Michael Roberson. No, I ain't seen you since last year, man.
Right. And we had J5, so we got to shout it out for our
Absolutely, brother.
So we named it twice. K5, Five New Pod. To the day I died.
We took a little holiday break, but we are back. Lots to talk about. I mean, we took a break from the show, Mike, but you have not taken a break, brother. You've been on the go since we last met. Kind of get us caught up with what you've been up to, and we'll get into some of the topics for the evening.
All right. So I'm trying to think how long ago it was. Was it before Christmas?
Right before Christmas.
All right, because I had just gone down to Vegas for that Monday night game. It was my birthday weekend, the Monday night where I had a chance to hang out with Daryl Letbetter. So even I could have fun with Q's. So I've had fun on my travels with Letbetter and then Clarence. Clarence Hill might not be talking to me anymore because there's like a little cartoon with the Buckeye. And he's eating some steak, Longhorn steak. I sent that to him. So he might not be talking to me anymore because, if you guys don't know, Clarence Hill Jr. went to Texas. So he was all amped about that, but Ohio State put it to him. And but I've been doing college basketball. Then the Earthquakes, I just had a press conference with them. They for MLS, for you people out there that like MLS. So it's going to be kind of exciting with MLS because, especially out here in the Bay Area, they're finally going to get to see Messi. So they're excited out here. Then, of course, our games against the Galaxy, which is usually played over at Stanford and then or maybe sometimes at Levi's. So that's an excitement for that. But that'll kick off later on in February. Then, of course, dealing with the ACC for the first time. Because now Stanford and Cal are in the ACC, so it's been tough sledding on the road. I don't think either team has won on the road, and Stanford men have won at home at Stanford, but they also beat Cal, so they're basically undefeated in the Bay Area. But abroad, no way. And then of course the Warriors been going, vacillating. Then we got the nonsense in Sacramento where our coach was fired again, so. It's kind of disappointing up there, but they've been doing okay because Doug Christie took over and they've been playing okay. So I don't know if it was that they just didn't like the way Coach was doing his thing because remember he had a fiasco in LA when they fired him early. Some people think because Kobe didn't really get along with him or he didn't like his style. So that and then of course, college sports, college football, we got the championship coming up and on Monday on King Day. So that'd be one good thing on King Day, but we know we're going to have another political fiasco on King Day, which just kills me because I remember they launched Desert Storm on King Day.
Of all the days to have.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know what? You got to blame the people that didn't vote or – about what they're going to do, they went ahead and voted for this cat and then some people need to call out some of these women out there that how are you going against your own interests by voting for these clowns? Then you got Musk running crazy. So it's a bunch of mess.
I mean, that's what Luke, that's so well said. And some of these people who come from other countries that voted for him, when he's sending your friends and family back home.
Yep.
Hey,
but that kind of goes to the crab in a barrel thing. They say, "Hey, man, you know what? I don't want these guys here. I made it here. Forget them." Some of them think that way. Say, "Well, I made it to America.
Yeah.
I don't care about they locking them out on the border." I'm like, okay, really?
Hey, bro, be careful what you wish for. Hey, Mike, you know soccer. Who is the dude that's getting paid? I know, of course, everybody knows the superstars like Messi, but this one cat, Holland, is getting $610,000 a week to play for Norwegian.
Holland is giving it to him.
Erling Holland.
Oh, his name is
the city contract.
Oh, okay.
$610,000 a week in wages.
Yeah, I'm not sure that is because for me, okay, Mbappe. Of course, I know him, and then of course Neymar from Brazil. Then you got Messi, and you have Ronaldo. But yeah, that Holland, I just kind of know him offhand. But yeah, and then of course a lot of that is going to be who's going to survive and still play in next year's World Cup. Will Messi play again for Argentina? Will Neymar play for Brazil? Because they're talking about bringing Neymar to Chicago MLS team.
But
so
see,
you get these stars in MLS, that's going to really raise their ratings.
I think what I always forget about soccer, it's just not a national game. It's a real worldwide game.
Exactly.
The NBA is worldwide, but not like soccer. So I guess that helps them pay some of these salaries out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just outrageous what Ronaldo and Messi and all those guys get. And then, like I said, they say, okay, you know what? We're at the tail end of our career. Let's go now grace the MLS. And the first person that did that was Beckham. When Beckham did it, went to the Galaxy, he made them pretty relevant. And they've won multiple MLS Cups. Matter of fact, they just won the last one. So I believe they are the winningest MLS team. And I don't know if it's in the history, but at least recently, they've been pretty good. So
now help me with this, Mike. What's the difference? What separates a superstar soccer player from just a good professional soccer player? I watched LeBron James. I could tell this guy's different. How do I watch Messi, and how do I tell that this dude is different?
Well, I mean, you could see the difference when he comes down to MLS. MLS is pro soccer, is good. We had our brother Josie Altidore, who was playing at Toronto, but he was also on the USA team. But we know the USA team never looks like they're on any level with these world power teams. So when Messi came down to Miami, it just looked like he was on another level. It was just so easy how he could volley and dribble, as they call it, when you have your foot on the ball, and set people up or get it back to himself. So you could just see that this man's a man amongst boys out here. And then, of course, Ronaldo is great. So, yeah, so it's like, you see them dominate on the world level. So if you see them dominate on the world level, then they're elite. You get some guys.
So what you're seeing is speed and athleticism is at another level.
Finesse, yeah, because they talk about how Ronaldo's very athletic, that he did like a header where he was like, his vertical looked really good, and he got a header for a goal, and they just looked at it and said, look, this is where the ball is, and they had some regular fans say, see if you can go up there and hit the ball with your head. And they're like, no, this is just too high. So they were just showing that this dude is really athletic. And then, like I said, right now, the young guys, you got this brother that's Mbappe who plays for France, I believe, for his country. But they'll be playing for professional teams in Europe and all that. That's where they make those huge amounts of money, is when they play for those professional teams in Europe or in Asia or wherever.
Right.
Nowadays, the Middle East is coming in there trying to say, hey, we'll pay you guys $500 million to play. So you get some of that too. So for me, it's hard to keep up with it.
That's crazy money, man.
No, they play around the world. It's hard for me to keep up with them. I got a couple of my colleagues that cover the earthquakes. They're really into the international part of it. And I'm like, man, I cannot keep up with that. He's playing for Real, or he's playing for this Spanish team. He's playing for Manchester United and all that stuff. And I'm like, I try to be cognizant of it, but yeah. It's just
they call them transfers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And one of these days I'm gonna get you to help me with what makes a great. How do I tell a great hockey player?
Okay. Yeah. Well, see now. Okay. Right. It's speed, but it's also agility with the stick. It's also positioning and okay, like for Bufflin. So Bufflin's a brother from Minnesota, but he played for the Blackhawks. So he won a championship with them, and he was basically posted up by the goal. He got a lot of his goals. You know, he had some size to him. He got a lot of goals there. So it was like, oh man, this is gonna be a great run for him. They got rid of him.
You mean hold on? You mean posted up like a center would post somebody?
Somewhat, yeah. Well, because it's like you can't be in the crease. That little.
I know the crease, yeah.
Right? But you're right there, and then you're big and you're in the way. That goal is having a tough time because then now all of a sudden somebody could get a shot in because Bufflin's in the way, or Bufflin will deflect it. Did somebody shoot a shot there? Did he put his stick down there, deflected, and he gets the goal? So, and then of course hockey you can have probably about 5 people get an assist because they'll say, well, that person did the pass, this person, to that person, then they finally got the goal. So But yeah, overall though, right now the number 1 pick last year was Bedard. He's with the Blackhawks, and he played right away, and it was a sensation, but he got hurt. And then this year, San Jose had the number 1 pick, and that's Macklin Celebrini, and he's been playing well, but he got banged up a little bit, but double-digit goals, double-digit assists, really, really blended in right away. And that's the question I asked Mike Greer, once again, the first and only Black GM in NHL history. I asked him and the new coach, I said, will he be playing right away or will he be in the minors? Like the hockey minors would be, like for us, it'd be the Barracuda. That's like a level below, kind of like one of the minors of baseball. Yeah. Or will he be playing right away? So another brother, Canadian brother, Byfield, he's the highest ever drafted Black player. And that's number 2 overall by the Kings. So he was down on their minor league team, but come up and down and up. So that's what I'm saying, that I wasn't sure how they were going to do with Celebrini, but Celebrini has been on the top team the whole time. It's been sensational. His first ever game, he got a goal. I said, dude, you having this storybook type of rookie year. So that's the one bright spot there. But back to the situation with Byfield, before he became the top the highest pick by any Black player, it was Evander Kane, a Canadian. Then it was Seth Jones, who happens to be the son of Ronald Popeye Jones, who played for Murray State. Right. Matter of fact, I think I caught his freshman year before I left.
Popeye
his son, that I said, yeah, your
that's a hockey player?
Yeah, he's a hockey player. He was going to be the number 1. He was going to be the first Black player to go number 1. Colorado had the number 1 pick, and they did not pick him. So it's still that distinction of, will there ever be a number 1 pick, a Black player be a number 1 pick? Yeah.
I saw Popeye and Anthony Mason battle.
Yeah.
And there was another guy speaking of, and folks, first of all, again, welcome to the African American athlete, Rick Hampton, Mike Rock. We kind of getting caught up on things before we jump into tonight. But Mike, do you remember Jeff Martin?
Yeah, that's the one that got Player of the Year over Mason. I never forget.
And he got drafted ahead of Mason too, I believe.
No, he had another year. So he came out and he got drafted by the Clippers. But he got drafted, I think, in the first round. But it was
he went higher.
But it was the following year though. It was 89. Mason came out in 88.
Yeah, definitely.
And so and Mason was third. Mason was the third round with Portland. But in 89, they got rid of the third round. They only had 2 rounds. Right. That's what it is now.
You know what's funny, man, is Murray State has consistently had good basketball programs over the years. And when you go to that town, man, it's nothing there, man. I don't know how they get brothers to Murray, Kentucky, man. But they do. I mean, of course, the latest being John Morant, and they've had good basketball programs.
Right.
There.
Well, you know what? All it takes is to be a winner for a while, and then people say, "Hey, man, you know what? I saw this player made it to the league from here, so let me go there."
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's get into some of the football games tomorrow and get your thoughts on the season leading up to how the season finished and going in tomorrow. And we'll go over each game tomorrow.
Well, let's not forget though. After that, we need to talk about Monday, Dr. King Day, where we'll have the first ever black coach in a national championship game. Even though he said some stuff like, "I don't want this to be a distraction." I said,
"Oh." Yeah.
But then James Franklin for Penn State was like, "I'm embracing this. I want to be the first ever black coach to win a national championship." I said, "That's the attitude I'm talking about."
It makes you wonder, man. I know you guys gotta know the history of black coaches and these guys that have paved the way for you. I would love, hey, Mike, even when Tiger won the Masters, he talked about Teddy Rose and Lee Elder. I mean, Tiger knew. Come on, man.
After the Capital Nation stuff, but yeah, he knew.
Yeah, but he knew that, and he gave his props to those dudes. He talked about Charlie Siff. I want to hear somebody mention John Merritt and Eddie Robinson and Jake Gaither and all those guys who would have been, if things were even, would have been big-time college coaches.
Exactly. Well, you know, it's funny, though. I talked to the coach when they came out here and played Stanford. It was the same year.
You talked to Freeman?
Yeah, I talked to Freeman, but it was the same year we played there. So I prefaced it by saying, okay, I was in Notre Dame. I was in South Bend when you guys played my alma mater. And then he was talking about that. And I asked him, I said, "Do you think you guys have grown since that game?" He said, "I don't like to put it on wins and losses, but I thought our team did get better since we played against Tennessee State." And then when I was in there talking to Eddie George in the visitors' locker room area, the press area, I saw their press conference, the Notre Dame one, and he said that this is big to play against the HBCUs. I have family that went to HBCU, so I feel that thing. So that's why I was like, "Why are you saying this is a distraction when this is just as legit as you making history playing against HBCU for the first time in Notre Dame history? This is even bigger than that because this is the national championship game. It's never been done."
Brother, I've been saying that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm right here. That's like Madison Keys when she said, "I don't believe in color." I'm like, oh God, stop it! But let's not forget it though. Missoula did it before that when they won a championship.
Well, see,
Christian and all. I'm like,
I think people in those positions really have a responsibility to do that because the only reason they are there because of the people who came before them.
I know.
I mean, you gotta be able to see that. But but we'll get back to the game Monday.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say, because Russell, when I interviewed Russell, when he said, "I'm proud to be the second, not the first, the second black quarterback to win a Super Bowl." I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, Russ. Exactly.
Yeah. That ain't hard. That ain't hard to say, man.
Oh. All right.
Like you said, was that you said a minute ago, like getting a root canal or something? Now it's like, it's crazy. Hey, but the first game tomorrow is Houston and Kansas City. Speaking of black coaches, Houston will be coming in with their great young coach. And I can't even think of his name right now. Michael, he's from your area, so I know you can.
Niners, yeah.
DeMarco Ryans, yeah. DeMeco Ryans, yeah.
DeMeco Ryan, yeah.
Do they have a chance in Kansas City? Kansas City's 15-2, but a lot of people think they're vulnerable.
Well, once again, teams like that know how to flip a switch. Remember, they looked worse last year. Remember, they were like teetering on mediocrity last year or so. And then once the playoffs kicked in, remember, Baltimore was the best team in the AFC last year. And then they went to Baltimore and took care of them. So, I won't ever count them out now. And think about it. When they did lose, it was that nonsense they did against New England where they called offsides on the player, said he was lined up offsides after Brady threw the interception. I said, oh. So they lost that game that way. And then, of course, they lost to, I think, Cincinnati on some nonsense. So, but other than that, he's come through pretty much every time. So, will they get a three-peat? Of course, all these scenarios is going to be something I'm going to write about. I'm either going to write about him getting a three-peat or if Freeman wins the national championship because that's history. So I'll write about that. And if they both happen, that'll be a double feature I could write about. But
and Mike, you will have a black quarterback playing in a AFC title game next week because both these two. And I think it's safe to say the black quarterback is here to stay and has more than arrived in the National Football League now.
Yeah, well, but we still have those scenarios where they get benched for no reason, where you wouldn't see them humiliate another quarterback, like what happened to our young brother in Carolina. And all of a sudden said, well, look how he's playing now. See, he needed that. Like, you didn't need that. You don't need to humiliate somebody to make them better. Yeah. I mean, that's what the drill sergeant tells you. Like, I'm going to strip you down of all your humanity and make you a Marine or make you a soldier. But, come on now. That was unnecessary, especially who you put in for him. And then right away you go right back to him like, yeah, nah. You learned a lesson. Come on, man. Just say, look, play better or we will sit you down. Now, you don't need to go.
I'm glad you mentioned Bryce Young. I was so happy to see him play so well.
That's what I'm saying.
Down the stretch. But the only bad part of that, now that they try, the only bad part of that, Mike, that they try to keep him there now because they were ready to let him go. So now he's stuck in.
Right, but I'm saying that could have gone the other way where he just spiraled down into,
for sure.
Something like our Raiders quarterback that they just keep pounding on him about how much of a bust he was. So,
Well, who you like in this one?
Well, KC Houston, right?
Yeah, KC's at home.
I got KC. I got KC all the way. But it'll be one of these situations where, let's say, Baltimore somehow beats KC. I wouldn't be heartbroken because you'll have Lamar in there. Or even here, you won't have that. But see, I got kind of leery with Houston's quarterback because he had a sophomore slump. He looked pretty bad this year.
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, CJ. But I was also upset selfishly because I had him for a few of my fantasy teams. I'm like, dude, you're killing me this year, man. So, but then again, the worst one ever, though, for this year was having McCaffrey as my number one pick. That was a total disaster. That was a total disaster. So
terrible year for the
but I got Kansas City, and then with the Buffalo.
Now we're gonna go how they're playing tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're here in the Motor City tomorrow night. The Commanders with their outstanding rookie quarterback Jalen Daniels versus the Lions here in Detroit. And by the way, I like Kansas City in that first one too, and I think them being at home just only helps their cause. The Lions are a touchdown favorite. You think Washington has a chance here, Mike?
Not really, but once again, Detroit every once in a while will have a boneheaded game where they'll look pretty mediocre. And Daniels has had some clutch moments, including that ridiculous scenario that happened against the Bears, which blew up that whole team. But yeah, but he's been clutch. He hasn't wavered. So they got a chance, but I got a feeling Detroit learned their lesson from that nonsense that happened to them out here in Santa Clara, where they had the Niners dead to rights, and then they just basically let them off the hook. It was almost like that Prospector, which is the mascot for the Sourdough Sam, like he had his whip and chair and tamed the lion.
Is that what his name is?
Yeah, Sourdough Sam. Yep. Because sourdough bread is a big
thing. Oh yeah, sourdough. Oh yeah. I tell you, you live in that's just a beautiful area that you live. Yeah. Always one of my favorite spots to go when I was traveling out that way. I never knew that was Sourdough Sam. I like the Lions in this one too, being at home and with their running game, that'll make them tough to beat. Some really good games Sunday, starting with Philly and LA, and you see all the stuff going on in LA. I wonder if the smoke has made it all the way up north to you guys, man.
You know, every once in a while we'll have the remnants of what's happening down there will come up here and vice versa. Because I remember we had it. It was farther north from us, but it came down in our area and it was really bad. I mean, we had to actually wear the mask with the filters and everything. And then that was, I think, followed by the pandemic. So either one of it was like they were both close to each other. So it was like, okay, is it as bad as we're going to have to wear the filter mask, or are we going to just wear the mask that you wear for the pandemic? So it was pretty bad out here, where you really had to stay in because the air quality was horrible. And that was from some fire that was up a little farther north of us. And that's just like back in 1980. You remember in 1980 when Mount St. Helen erupted up in Washington State? They said that some of that ash made it all the way down here to California.
Yeah, it travels. It's going to be cold, maybe snowing in Philly tomorrow. LA's coming from LA. Who you like?
Arizona. They were at home team in Arizona.
Who you like in this one, Mike?
I got
Philly. You like
Philly? I think Philly, but once again, I still don't know if Jalen is back yet. Remember, he was hurt, and then he didn't have to do much last game. Right. And when they go up against a tougher opponent that won't just lay down like that, I got a feeling that, you know, they gonna make him not do the tush, not be involved in the tush push, but throw the ball? What will happen then if he has to throw the ball? Because there's been a lot of that running game. Of course, they got the number one running back. And let's not forget, a couple years ago, he was the poster child of the devaluing of the running back. Remember how he was up and they said, no, we're not going to pay you anything. That running back position is garbage now. And then all of a sudden now he's on the precipice of breaking the single season record, and he takes the high road and says, you know what, we don't need to play. I don't need the record. And then, of course, everybody's making it seem like Eric Dickerson had sour grapes, but he said, hey, look, you know what? I like to keep my record, but I don't have any problem with Saquon. So I think Philly should win because, once again, Saquon will absolutely make sure that that opens up. So play action will be available with him in the backfield. But Jalen does have to throw the ball sometime so they won't put 8 men in the block. Because if you mortalize Saquon this year, what is Philly really going to do?
Yeah.
So I think Hurts is the key. I think he needs to throw a couple 15, 20-yard passes just to open that up for he and Saquon.
I like Philly in this one too, Mike. Again, they are home. and it's going to be cold. So far, we all got the home teams winning the first day, and we all agree on the first day. We may disagree on this one, though, Michael. And I think this is the best game of the weekend. Uh, Sunday night in Buffalo, the 3 seed Baltimore Ravens versus the 2 seed Buffalo Bills, 2 MVP quarterbacks. I'm just saying, I'm riding with Lamar. I'm riding with Lamar to win the whole thing. That's how much I believe in this dude.
The whole shebang, the Super Bowl.
To beat my beloved Lions if they make it. I don't care who comes out of NFC. I think Baltimore is going to beat them.
Okay.
But a lot of people, and I totally get it, don't even think they're going to make it out of tomorrow because Buffalo's a tough place to play. In the cold, it's going to be cold there. Baltimore can handle the cold too. But
let me tell you
your thoughts on this game.
Well, let me tell you what's been frustrating me this whole year though, is when they talk about how Lamar is having the greatest season of his career, and then one of the greatest quarterback seasons ever, right? And then they talk about how Josh is having this great year too, but Lamar's stats are better. But then they say, well, yeah, but Josh is doing it with less, so that makes his a little better. I'm like, first of all, you guys keep forgetting that you ran off your star wide receiver, saying that, well, that's the reason why Josh is throwing interceptions is because he's trying to force it to him. So you get rid of a good player, but then you're going to turn around and say, well, we don't have any good players. That's what I'm saying. That's nonsense right there. And then secondly, he beat you head to head. So why are we going through this whole thing about, well, he should be the hands down MVP because of what he's doing? I say, wait a minute. This dude has better stats than him, and he beat him head to head.
And they didn't just beat them, Michael. They beat them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. They beat him down. But well, he beat Kansas City, and he beat these other teams. Yeah, but he didn't beat his competitor though. So that's what I'm saying about just like in a lot of times.
So you think they're gonna give it to Allen?
I got a feeling it is voter fatigue, and some writers are saying, hey, you know what? I think we'd like to see this guy because he fits more of a quintessential All-American quarterback. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna get some people that gonna be voting on that ilk, and you'll get some like an Acho or somebody like that is, doesn't really like Lamar, always has everything negative to say about him, and they talk about how great Josh looks. So you're gonna get some guys like that that's gonna pull that move. It's like, well, we don't want him to get three. We don't want him to get three MVPs because that would make him elite. So you're gonna get some people that's gonna vote for Josh. I got a feeling they're gonna give it to him too.
Well, who you like tomorrow?
I definitely Baltimore. I'm Baltimore with you. That's why I said
we might have a split, man.
That's what I said. If Baltimore plays KC, that's why I said that if they somehow upset KC, I won't be as mad because I'd be happy for Lamar to be in the Super Bowl so he can shut up all these people, especially these idiots that said, hey, he should be a wide receiver. So that's what I want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing him there, but it's once again, when people try to belittle him by saying you didn't win, dude, he's in the middle of a dynasty in Kansas City. Right. How is he gonna win? These guys are going for 3 in a row. How in the world could he simultaneously be in the Super Bowl when these guys are going for a 3-peat?
Right.
It'd be different if he was in the NFC. He could at least be there against him. But come on, he's going up against Mahomes. That's why he lost. That's why he didn't make it last year. Baltimore was the team.
Ask the people that had to deal with Jordan, man.
There you go.
No, you're
well,
right.
That's why Akeem, he prospered. Well, he prospered 2 reasons. One is Michael was out for those 2 years, but he actually came back for the second one. But let's not forget, he prospered, but the Knicks blew it. The Knicks should have. Pat Ewing should have had an NBA championship in '94. They blew that one, so Akeem got that one instead. And then in '95, they were a 6 seed. They weren't even a factor. And then what happened? Akeem went on a different level after they gave the MVP to David Robinson. And he just destroyed the league the rest of that. And then, of course, I hate to put all this on Nick Anderson, but when he missed those free throws, Orlando was psychologically shot the rest of that series.
Right.
That's how King took advantage of Michael being out. But yeah, those other 6 years, nobody was going to win a championship with them.
So, Mike, we got before we move on to the game, the college football game Monday, and we got to get caught up on some NBA stuff before we get out of here too. Okay. The coaching vacancies. Okay, the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, got 1 year. Talk about a short leash.
That's what I was telling you about these coaches.
The Bears got a head coach position open. Cowboys got a head coach position open. Jacksonville is open. Las Vegas is open. New Orleans is open, and New York is open.
And let's not gloss over Las Vegas. That's another brother taken out.
Antonio Pierce, right?
Antonio Pierce. So, and then there's some people, mainly Terry Bradshaw, that want Tomlin out of Pittsburgh.
Right.
Well, he's 0-5, in the last 8 years, whatever the case was in the playoffs. Yeah, so, there's some people that say, hey, trade McCarthy for Tomlin. McCarthy's a Pittsburgh guy. Let him go back home and then let Tomlin go to Dallas and, take over that talented franchise that just can't get over the hump.
Did you see Tomlin's press conference the other day?
Yeah.
That dude ain't worried about nothing. He ain't worried about nothing, man.
But all it takes is them to feel like, oh, well, this Pittsburgh crew is they're getting tired of that, and they may boycott or something like that.
Man, if they fired him, he'd be hired in 20 minutes. I mean, he's that good of a coach.
Right.
But what he's got to do is upgrade those pieces on offense, because they really don't have a run game. I think Najee Harris is really overrated as a runner.
Yeah,
you can't trust the wide receiver. Pickett, I don't trust Pickett.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. It's two other things too, though. The run game was so putrid. It was ridiculous how Baltimore had like 200-something rushing yards, and I think they had less than 20 or something like that. It was just embarrassing. I'm like, come on, Franco Harris got to be rolling over in his grave right now. Are you kidding me? Have a running game. Abercrombie might be upset right now. So, for them to, think about it. I forgot the running back's name, the one that used to always do the hesitation, and then he got out of there because
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. They really haven't had anybody since Le'Veon Bell, if you really think about it.
Yeah, you're right. He was a patient runner, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, and then, of course, the whole Ben Roethlisberger nonsense where he stayed too long and they never really got a quarterback to replace him. And I think even his latter years, he was overrated. I mean, that Super Bowl where they won, think about it. It took an awesome catch on the sideline. And of course, I was kind of torn because it was a rookie named DRC playing for Arizona. So I kind of wanted to see him win, but then again, I want to see Tomlin win. So I was kind of torn. But that's what that game came down to, that little corner pass that he did. But other than that, I think his latter years, I think he was an impediment to the Steelers, and I think they're still suffering right now because of that. But
I still believe in Justin Fields, man.
But see, that's the thing about it is that, think about this though. I don't know if there was a mutiny or what was going on, but think about this though. Once Russ took over, the defense seemed to get worse. Think about it. The defense was giving up so many points. Even in a couple of those games, Russell had to barely get a win because the defense kept getting every time they get a drive. Every time they get a drive, boom, defense will let the other team come right back. And it's like you got to go back and forth. So then the last couple games, you give up 28 to Baltimore, and then the Steelers get 14. Where is that defense that you were talking about that was supposed to hold them down?
Yeah,
All you need is a competent quarterback. You should be able to get over the hump. The defense, I think, let them down. And there's
they did not finish it. And what I like about Tom, he say, "Hey, put all that on me. I take that." I mean, he's just a straight up dude. He
right.
would, they could let him go. He would be fine. But any of those jobs, Mike, and let's get moving. Any one of them stand out to you? And you know the Titans just hired a new guy. They fired their black GM, Rand Carthen,
Yep.
and just hired Mike Vorganzi from Kansas City. But I think the most interesting job for me is what's going to happen in Vegas now that you got Brady out there. How much input?
You think that's more interesting than Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas.
Dallas
bores me. Do you think Dion would go there?
I mean, the thing about it is, it depends on what type of legacy he wants to leave. Because there are some people who say, "Hey, man, he was the greatest thing to hit HBCU coaching since Eddie Robinson," because of just all the hoopla he brought there. Because think about it. When HBCU football was like at its height was during the 80s when it was on BET, but Eddie Robinson was still the man.
Yeah.
And then it weaned off a little bit because one BET started
with our frat brother Lem Barney calling the games with
and our frat brother owning BET.
Right. And who did the play-by-play? Neil. Neil and Lem Barney.
Yep. So that was probably the height. And then when Dion went down there, it was like, oh man, HBCU football, this is awesome. And then you get a Travis Hunter down there and all that, and then you see he eventually becomes a Heisman Trophy winner. So that was at the height. So now he goes to Colorado and makes them relevant. And then now he can say, hey, unless he wants to, be in this championship game like Freeman, he could say, okay, now let me take this next step and go to a team that's probably the most popular NFL team ever, the Cowboys. And then, once again, America's team. How many people we saw growing up love the Cowboys? If you grew up in the hood, it's the Cowboys, Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then some brothers like the Steelers too, though, because I was one of them. But he basically Cowboys, Yankees, and for basketball, maybe the Sixers when Dr. J got there. Those were the hood teams right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he's gonna come. He's got like the top. He's got another top quarterback coming in there next year. I know he's a top 5 ranked quarterback. We'll see how he turns out. So that'll be interesting. Hey, speaking of college, just wind this football up. Monday night, Ohio State and Notre Dame. And people here in Michigan actually hope.
Notre Dame.
actually hope. No, some of them want Ohio State to win so they can say, yeah, but we still beat y'all.
Yeah, you can say that, but once again,
it's actually people who don't even care that they win the national title because they lost to Michigan. I'm like, dude, it's the national title.
Exactly. I mean, you guys in Michigan could take that solace about we beat Ohio State again. But yeah, if you're defending national champions and you didn't even sniff, didn't sniff the playoffs. So, and then also Ohio State could say, not only did we have a hiccup against you guys, but remember how we lost to Oregon on some nonsense out in Eugene, and what did we do to redeem that loss? They took them out. They said, we're the real Big Ten team. You guys are pretenders right now. I know you thought you were going to come here and dominate, like, hey, look at us coming from the Pac-12, and we're dominating the Big Ten. And then Ohio State said, no, not yet, buddy. We are the Blue Bloods in this conference, and we've been the preeminent Big Ten team. Even though Michigan snuck that national championship in chip in last year and then back in '98. But overall, we've been the preeminent football team in this conference.
I think most people have Ohio State winning this game easy.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win. I don't think it's going to be easy, though, Mike.
Well, see, that's why Notre Dame. You could talk about Ohio State losing to Michigan, and then of course in Oregon.
They lost to North.
Let's not forget that Notre Dame absolute debacle in the beginning of the season. So they're another team that resurrected themselves just in time for this national championship. Because when they lost to them, they was like, "Hey man, get Freeman out of here. This team is terrible." Lou Holtz would have never lost to them. You got all that stuff, and Devine and all these coaches, and Duke Rockne. None of those guys would have lost to. Who was it? Northern Illinois. I forgot who they lost to.
Northern Illinois, who has a black coach.
None of them would have lost. So yeah, then remember when Freeman took over for our guy down at LSU, it was like, okay, he had to take over.
Brian Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly, he lost the game. It was like, oh, come on, he might be in over his head now. Like, dude, he had to take over a traffic accident. Come on, man. So then the next year, it was interesting because Stanford was horrible, but the one big win Stanford had was against Notre Dame in South Bend. And I said, man, you guys lost to Stanford. So it seemed like the last 3 or 4 years, they've had just a unbelievable and disappointing loss. But somehow they right the ship. So we'll see if they've gotten themselves back in the right state of mind to go up against Ohio State, which of course is, you can say a rival, because even though they are independent but ACC adjacent, they still do have ties with the Big Ten, especially with Ohio State and Michigan. And then we got Eddie George and Tim Brown they were on a podcast together, and Eddie George had, like, in his background, he had the picture of him running through everybody or getting ahead of the field, and it was for his Heisman. And then Tim said, "Come on, man, you gonna really do that?" So you got the Notre Dame and Heisman Trophy winner, and then you got the Ohio State traffic winner going at it right there. So this is gonna be a big game. And just think about this: when I was at that TSU game, Notre Dame game, like I said, you felt all that history there. That did feel good, especially when I was on the field. But I met the bus down there. So the bus is also, yapping about how his alma mater should win the national championship. So there's a lot of people that do think Notre Dame does have what it takes, but I don't know. Unless Ohio State has another stinker like they did against Michigan, they've been playing too well, especially in the playoffs, to lose this one. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, let's get to the NBA right quick. We just got a few more minutes. And I want to get your thoughts on this whole thing with Jimmy Butler. He's back in the lineup tonight after being suspended 7 games. And I just checked in. He's got 18 points into the fourth quarter, but they're getting worked by the Nuggets. They're down 18 points. Your thoughts on Jimmy Butler? Do you think that the Heat will trade him? And what would be a good team for him to go to?
That's what we've gotten to, where it's like because we know Pat Riley has been petty for years, okay? So you get these situations where some players get traded to where they want to go, then some get thrown somewhere because they didn't like what you did. Let's look at Brooklyn, for instance. They said, Kyrie, you're not going to the Lakers. I'm going to send you to Dallas. And at the time, Dallas looked like, oh, yeah, they're not going to do anything. But then that first year, they didn't do much. Matter of fact, they were a big disappointment. Then the next year, they're in the championship. So it looked like they were trying to punish Kyrie, but he ended up – and now the situation looks pretty good for him. But KD also wanted to get out of Brooklyn. So, oh, yeah, we'll send you to Phoenix with 2 other star players. Yeah, no problem. So it depends on if Pat Riley's going to be really petty with him and say, no, I'm going to send you to a bad team in the Western Conference. Or will he say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make you happy. I'm going to send you over there to Phoenix with KD and Booker, and we're gonna get maybe we'll take back Beal. I don't know. So it depends on the level of pettiness or non-pettiness Pat Riley would do, because we know, as Ice told us, that he was being real petty with him in the All-Star games, and then we saw how kind of petty he was with LeBron, where he didn't really want his crew to come along. You know, LeBron sitting here empowering his people, making them into, great businessmen and all that. But yet this guy was like giving them a hard time on that. And then that whole first year, even though LeBron was a better player, they still wanted to say, this is Wade's team. I don't care, especially when they got to the finals. So, and then when he left, all of a sudden, like, wow, this guy's not even loyal. I'm like, dude, you weren't even giving him the love those whole 4 years. So don't even trip when he leaves. So that's kind of where we are with Butler. There's a lot of people saying that now. I said, hey, man, if you guys really look at Pat Riley's record, his track record, he hasn't been, he's been kind of flaky with some of these players. I mean, even Dwayne Wade left. That's what somebody threw out there. I said, yeah. But of course, he came back and they ingratiated themselves with him. But I just think that it's going to be one of those situations where he's going to still try to show that I got the power. So I'm going to, you might leave, but you're going to go where I want you to go. I don't think it's going to be amicable, but we'll see how it works out. Because
Phoenix is supposedly the team that wants him, and it sounds like he wants to go out there. But are you surprised by how well Cleveland has played? 34-6.
Well, except for last night.
They got beat. They got worked last night. But
right.
34-6, man, to start the year.
Well, you want to know what's funny? Is that I covered the only Warriors game I've covered this year was against Cleveland. And I wanted to talk to my homie, Jim Jones, but I missed him because I guess he did the broadcast and he got on the bus, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But, so I had a chance to talk to Garland and Donovan, because I talked to Donovan before, but that's when he was with Utah. So this is my first time talking to him as a Cavalier. And they were talking about how, well, I asked Garland about, playing with Donovan. He said, yeah, I like playing with him. They were joking him up for a while. Then they finally got serious. He said, yeah, I like playing with him. It's good to have another superstar over here. And, I learned a lot from him, blah, 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 blah. And then Atkins, I asked Atkins, I said, are you worried about you guys peaking too soon? So you guys look really good, but are you afraid that you peak too soon? This is a long season. He said, no, I think that we're doing everything at the right pace. I'm making sure I don't play the players too much, blah, 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 blah. So at that point, I remember they were losing after the first quarter, and Steph only had 2 points. I was like, and I asked him about that. He said, yeah, we were making sure that Steph didn't go off. And then in the second half, they blew it open. I said, yeah, this team is pretty good. So, of course, last night probably was an aberration, but they do look good. But when it comes to the playoffs, though, I don't know if they will be able to get in another gear and maybe beat somebody like Boston. Then Milwaukee is just too flaky. I don't know. One day they look like, okay, they're back where they need to be. This Dame, Giannis combination is going to be great. Then another thing is like, man, what is going on here? We don't know what's going on with Middleton. We don't know what's going on with Middleton. So I had a little accident here. My wife
and quickly, over in the West, Oklahoma City's 34-6.
Right.
Man, they're playing without Holmgren. It's like they, excuse me, Michael. It's like they've been even better with Holmgren out of the lineup.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes you do adapt better than the situation, but when it comes down to it, they're gonna need Holmgren in the playoffs, and they still have to make up for that fiasco they had in the playoffs, where they were a better team than Dallas, but they didn't show up like that in the playoffs. And then even Shea had a bad moment at the end of that series where he fouled a 3-point shooter and pretty much sealed that series for Dallas. So I think they have a chip on their shoulder. Like, look, I know we went out like a sucker, like they used to say back in the day, But
I ain't going out like a sucker now.
yeah, but I think that they really want to prove that they are worthy of being the Western Conference representative. And then, of course, Cleveland also has to make up for some of their playoff woes because, of course, they always have that chip on their shoulder like, okay, we're going to finally be relevant post LeBron, post LBJ.
Yeah.
So Cleveland has a lot to – both of these teams have a lot to prove. Right now, they look like the best teams in each conference, but until they get it done in the playoffs, they're going to have to just –
I still think everything is wide open. And we
right.
got to see, we'll have the trade deadline coming up in a few weeks and see what's happening there. Hey, Nuke, we got to get out of here, brother, before they kick us out. Man, good to be back on, and we'll be back here next week. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. For Michael Robinson, I'm Rick Hampton. Peace. See you next week.
Peace.
Take care, everybody.